Yo, so one of the things that I've ran into being into this space, telling people about the tech industry, software industry, telling them about tech boot camps, telling them about different companies, is that I found myself feeling like I'm a bit of a recruiter where people are asking me questions. They're like, oh, what company should I apply to? How should my LinkedIn look? What about my resume? How do I network? All these different things. And yo, I've accepted the position that I'm in, and I love helping people out as much as I can. Nevertheless, I'm limited because I'm not a tech recruiter. I don't really understand fully what the world is outside of some of my friends that are in the space. So, y'all, I have a wonderful treat for y'all. Not only do I have a tech recruiter, this is a tech recruiter who is at one of the largest companies in the world, Microsoft. But to take it even a step further is that they are an influencer tech recruiter. So super dope influencer tech recruiter. Excited to have her on, y'all. Chenae, thank you so much for being on this episode of Tech is the New Black.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. I was going to ask how you were doing, but you said you were excited.
I'm good.
So, okay.
I'm real good.
Super good.
Super duper good.
Yo, man, one of the things I love so much about you, especially like meeting you in person, even before meeting in person. So, of course, seeing you on LinkedIn, you know, you have this electrifying energy about yourself, big personality, super fun. As you talk about, like, you always talk about your cousins. What is it? Recruiter cousins all the time. Is that like when we connected offline, I was like, okay, this energy is still here. I love it. And then of course meeting you in person, I'm like, yo, like so I really do get the whole recruiter cousins thing. It's like, yo, like I really do feel like the whole family, they have the whole family component aspects. Love that so very much. So I actually want to kind of jump into the deep end real quick, and then we'll kind of actually slow down, then build back up.
Yeah.
So you put up a post recently on LinkedIn that I saw, and I thought it was really dope, where you said, yo, like we all deserve 6-figure salaries. So of course that's a coveted like threshold that so many people want to hit. Even when I talk about tech industry, I'm always six figures, whatever. I know it's a certain language like draws people, but like, can you talk about that? Like expound on that, like what you meant when you say we all deserve 6-figure salaries.
Yeah. So when I talk about 6-figure salaries, I talk about the difference between knowing your salary expectation, doing your research in the market, knowing what you deserve, and then building on that. So for me, I came into recruiting at like $50,000 a year, which was fine to me because I was new into recruiting. I was less than a year as a recruiter. So I didn't think about I should be making this because in my mind, I'm starting. So I'm grateful.
Yeah.
What I explained in the post is I got into the Microsoft application, and the recruiter reached out to me and he asked me what my salary expectation was. And I immediately was like 65. Not realizing I'm lowballing the heck out of myself. Yeah. And so I'm coming, at the time I was making like $57,000 a year. So I'm thinking 65 is a boost. Yeah. Not realizing that an $8,000 boost is not enough to persuade me to move in any company. It's not enough. Yeah. So especially when you break it down from year and taxes and all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So then I got to a point where my offer call came and she was like, what's your salary expectation? I was like, you know what? I said 65 for real, but I want to make 80. Still not realizing I'm lowballing myself. Yourself, yeah. And so it wasn't until I actually like started recruiting for software engineers that I realized software engineers want what they want, regardless of how you feel about it. Yeah. So if they say I had a candidate say I want to make $400,000 total comp per year. Woo! And he was not budging. Yeah. And that for me, that one candidate, like that clicked for me. Dang. So the idea, so when I started to recruit for the software engineers, but then I started to see a difference in the salary expectations that Hispanics were asking for, Black people were asking for, white people were asking for, the Indian population, the Asian population. I started to see a difference in what the salary expectation was, and I started to realize that the minority community was asking for a lot less. But that was because we're not taught to ask for more than what we deserve. I feel like we need to ask for more. Because if we ask for more, we can meet somewhere in the middle in negotiation. We're not taught that. That's very
true. Yeah, that is one of the things. One of the questions. And towards the end of our interview, we'll get to like a list of questions that people sent in, and one of them is people want to know like some negotiation tactics and things. Yeah, when I read when you would put that up, the whole thing about everyone deserves a 6-figure salary, and I had read through it and I saw a part of your story, and I was like, oh wow, that's actually crazy. Like I guess what are some of the variations that you've seen, whether we're talking within certain ethnicities or we're talking certain ages, in terms of what people either usually ask for or the way they go about doing it that you think has pros or cons behind it?
Yeah. So I had a young lady, a young African American lady. She told me that she wanted to make about 65 in tech. And this was literally, I was talking to her, it was Christmas Eve, and I wasn't doing anything. So I was just like, I understand it's Christmas Eve, but I'm not doing nothing. So we can have a conversation. So she said, well, I want to make 65. So my question to her was, what on your resume tells me you deserve $65,000 a year? And she couldn't answer me. And so I said to myself, okay, if she can't answer me, who else can't answer me that look like me? And then I have people who, when I go to the Indian populations or even Caucasians and Asians, they know what they want. Yeah. I had a Hispanic guy who he was a great like junior cybersecurity person, and he said he wanted to make a certain amount, and now in my mind I'm like, we can definitely beat that. That ain't no problem. Yeah. So when I made his offer to him, when I quoted his offer, he was through the moon. Yeah. And not only was I making him a base salary offer, I was making him an offer for base salary, sign-on bonus, and stock. Ooh. So and relocation. So in his mind, he's like, oh my gosh, where to some other people, that's still not enough. Yeah. So I think for me, I think there's a difference between the level of gratefulness and what we're taught versus actually taught knowing our worth and then going after that and then adding taxes plus shipping and handling.
Yeah, exactly. So when someone, so let's talk about someone asks for more than either what the company or what the budget is basically for that role, or the compensation is looking at for that role. Is there ever an instance where someone asks for too much and then it's like, oh, we're no longer considering you because you asked for too much?
No. There's never a position where we'll go, you asked for 500,000 total comp, and now we not consider you no more. No. Yeah. Because first of all, that's not good business. That's not a great candidate experience. And that's not giving off a great impression that the business actually wants the candidate to work for them. Yeah. So what we would do is if you Cyrus asked me for 500,000 total comp, I would say, Cyrus, at this level, I can't offer you 500,000 total comp.
I'll accept 499,000 by the way.
But this is the salary band that I can work with. Yeah. You as the candidate then accept, do I want to move forward with this process? Or do I want to buy out and say, you know what, at this time I'm not interested, but if you have another position that is a higher pay band, then let me know. So I like to let my candidates know up front what they're getting into so they won't waste each other's time.
I'm happy you confirmed this because I had a theory and I probably shouldn't have been teaching this theory to people, but I'm happy she confirmed it. That I've definitely been telling people, saying, hey, look, when people have asked me, oh, what should I ask for? I usually tell people, hey, look at the market and then ask for maybe a little bit more. Yeah. And people are like, oh, I want 75,000. I've usually been like, yo, ask for, and of course these are people very entry level roles, and I'll say like, well, yo, ask for 90,000, so that way if they push back or something, maybe y'all can land somewhere in the middle to where you do get 75 or 80,000. Because obviously every company isn't like your company. There are some companies that try to lowball people to try to push the number lower. So I'm like, no, push the number high, because the chances of you not getting hired because your initial asking was higher than what they wanted to give you is, I figured that was unlikely, and that's what I would usually tell people.
Do that though, if someone asks me for an extremely outstanding amount of a salary and it makes no sense on their resume, in my recruiter mind, I ain't gonna say it, but in my recruiter mind, I'm like, how did I get to that number? So then I think, oh, they're gonna want to negotiate at some point. Yeah. But I mean, a recruiter is gonna pick up on that. Yeah. But I agree. Like, go for a number that you feel like you deserve. Yeah. Tell them what you want to make, and then go from there. Like, I have people reach out to me all the time and say, how much should I ask for? And I always say, what's your worth? Ooh. If you can't tell me what your worth is, I'm not going to tell you what to ask for. I'm always going to put that back on you. What do you think you want to make?
That's super good. That's really good. I love that a lot. So in this kind of, on this point of people asking you questions like, oh, how much should I ask for? There was something else that I saw you post where you you were being very vulnerable. You opened up. You said, "Yo, like, I've seen that there are a lot of complaints of people saying that recruiters are ghosting them in the DMs," and it's like you kind of broke down why you kind of are starting to understand it, and you were kind of touched on it. And I was reading, I was like, "Yo," and mind you, I'm a person. Again, I have a bunch of friends that are recruiters, and so in my mind, I understand, and also having a relatively large following on social media, I understand how people can just think they're able to get all this access to you, and just so I would love for you to kind of touch on that, like some of your experiences, and then through that maybe we can navigate helping people find best practices on how to reach out and communicate with recruiters.
Yeah, so it's layers to why recruiters may ghost you.
It's levels to this.
It's levels to this. I'll go by part. So one of the reasons why a recruiter may ghost you is partly because if you reach out to a recruiter and the recruiter gives you advice, you have now adopted them as your personal recruiter. And that is a misconception for people who just ask recruiters advice. All of a sudden we become their personal recruiter, which means there's a level of expectation that we now have to meet. So you're now asking me to meet your level of expectation and the level of the company that actually pays me. So you now want me to do something for you that you're not paying me to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's number one. Number two, a recruiter may ghost you because you may reach out to them and you haven't done not one bit one bit of research. I have candidates reaching out to me all the time asking, "Do you have a job for me?" And my question is always, "Did you look on the Microsoft website for opportunities?" That is, if anybody DMs me,
tell them that
you will hear Chenae say, "Have you looked on the Microsoft website for opportunities or job opportunities?" Somewhere in that sentence, I'm going to ask that. And so I can tell by the question that you haven't looked.
Yes.
So
yeah,
for
of course,
me, if you haven't looked, we don't have nothing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not doing the work for you.
One of the things I try to communicate with people, and so part of the reason that Tech is the New Black is because I realize the position. It's like, okay, I'm telling people about these different tech boot camps, ways for them to get educated, blah, 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 blah. And what I realize is that, I know for a fact, there are a crap ton of people doing these boot camps, these programs. They're just breezing through the programs, not paying attention, and they're just
they're certified or they're done.
Yeah, and then they want to apply at these companies, and and one of the reasons for this is I'm like, man, I really want to help educate people further so that they're not playing their self. Especially, and Tech is New Black isn't necessarily about just people of color. It's people in general. It's people who feel like they might be the black sheep, where they might not fit in the tech industry. And it's like, no, the space is for you. Nevertheless, many people who do tend to look like us, many of them are unaware of the opportunities that are in this industry, in this space. And on one end, some people lean to the extreme of what you were talking about, where some don't know their worth. They don't know what to ask for, even though it's like, no, you're worth, X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
But then others are the opposite extreme, where they're not really putting in much work at all to be worth anything. Yeah. So I'm like, I want to have something so we can kind of talk about this, educate people with certain things. But one of the things I've noticed is that it's like, some people are not very inquisitive. They're just solely like, instead of me going to the website, instead of me looking on LinkedIn to see what's open, you just, I'm going to use you like your Google, or I'm sure Microsoft owns some search.
Bing.
They own Bing. They're going to go to you like your Bing. They're going to go to you like your Bing.
I got you, Microsoft. Don't worry about it. I got your back. Don't worry about it. Got your back.
Yeah, exactly. Gotta make sure we keep it all in the house. They're gonna go to you like that and have you do everything. So the question is when someone comes to you, they haven't done any research, or at least from what it looks like, they haven't done any research, and they're asking you questions that it's like, you could easily just look here.
I will literally say, did you go to the Microsoft website and look? Or I'll go, did you look? That's literally, if me and you were talking, I will type, did you look?
Yeah.
If you say no, I will ignore you and go right to the next person. Because for me, it's, if you go on LinkedIn, you're going to get all of me. If you come to my house, you're going to get all of me. Yeah. If you come to a meeting that I'm conducting or that I'm a part of, you're going to get all of me. Yeah. Either way, you're going to get me. So the idea is, I want people to understand that you're not paying the recruiter to do the research. That costs time. It's management. It's organization. It's having to shoot you stuff that we also have to go into our applicant tracking systems and work
Yeah.
for the companies that are
I was
paying
gonna
us.
ask you about that because a few of my friends that are recruiters, I've told people about the applicant tracking system thing, and no, not even applicant tracking system, but about like LinkedIn and other platforms, how they have a back end system that recruiters use to find people. So is that something that like y'all utilize as well?
Yeah, so we use a platform called LinkedIn Recruiter.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn Recruiter is a space where if you go on that jobs tab on LinkedIn and you see the jobs that are posted, if they're posted manually, most likely LinkedIn has swept it and it's under LinkedIn Recruiter. Okay. If we decide that we want to post a position manually on LinkedIn, and you can tell that the recruiter posted it because their picture is under the actual posting. Yeah, that's how you know the recruiter posted it themselves.
Okay, cool.
If that's the case, we've used LinkedIn Recruiter to actually post it.
Okay.
So LinkedIn Recruiter gives us the space to create kind of candidate pipelines so that hiring managers can go into the projects or pipelines that we create and look at all the candidates that are interested in that role. Where our applicant tracking systems may not give the hiring manager certain permissions. Yeah. So they like to use LinkedIn Recruiter because they can see everybody. With certain applicant tracking systems, the hiring manager can't see everything. Yeah. So they like to be able to be on the grassroots of the recruiting process. And I like to encourage my hiring managers to be a part of that because I always tell them, you're going to be working with this person every day. So what best person to tell me who you want other than you? So they have a great hand in looking in the LinkedIn Recruiter space. So y'all use LinkedIn, use the jobs tab because it does work. That's actually how I got hired.
Yeah, oh, man. I think most companies, most times I've applied, I would use Easy Apply unless it was. I've actually only used LinkedIn like to apply. Now, I'm sure I know the other platforms like Glassdoor.
But I wouldn't suggest using just LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Use LinkedIn and then go to the actual website and apply officially. Most people miss that step. They'll stay with LinkedIn Easy Apply and then they won't go to the website and apply officially. The thing is, you never want the recruiter or the hiring manager to wait for you ever. So the idea is if I can show my interest on LinkedIn and already officially apply and contact the recruiter on LinkedIn to tell them that I applied, then it's easier to go right into the applicant tracking system, tell the hiring manager, ping the hiring manager, say, hey, Cyrus applied to your role and he already officially applied, so I already sent him over to you, so go ahead and look at him.
You're putting me on game right now. So Easy Apply on LinkedIn isn't an official applying.
No.
Wow.
Not for a lot of. Now I can't speak for all.
You can't
but I can say for Microsoft, if you use Easy Apply, you haven't officially applied to the website. That's why if we choose to manually post a position on LinkedIn Recruiter, we have to connect the link to the actual posting that we use for LinkedIn. Okay. So the link will take you to the website for you to actually apply.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, if you show your interest on LinkedIn, we can see it. But make sure you use the link to officially apply so that the hiring manager can easily look at your stuff against the position inside the official system.
Okay, all right, cool. So I want to make sure I have clarity. So I've applied at companies before where they have Easy Apply, where it seemingly looks like, okay, it was a 3-4 minute thing to do an application, still clearly on LinkedIn's portal. And then I've also applied at companies where when I filled out a couple things, but then it provided a link for me to actually go and do an application on the company's website. So are you saying that that's a different thing? Or are you saying that, okay, if someone does Easy Apply, you recommend best practices for them to still go to the company's website?
Correct.
And still apply?
I do.
Okay,
especially because that company most likely is going to provide the link for you to actually officially apply.
Yeah.
Now, LinkedIn will go to random websites and sweep the positions to go into LinkedIn. So if that's the case and you literally just see a position without a person connected to it or a link, I would actually copy and paste the title and go to the website and find that position and actually officially apply to it. I wouldn't stay with LinkedIn because every company has an HR department, a legal department that they have to follow compliance. And they have to, in order to stay compliant, you have to make sure that the person is in your actual system.
Yeah. That's important for 1,000 different reasons. Because I mean, I could even think about the aspect that, software isn't perfect. And even if someone is using LinkedIn Easy Apply, I bet there could be times where there could be a bug or an issue to where it doesn't even reach the company that they used LinkedIn Easy Apply. So I definitely thinking about that. So man, thank you for that. I know that's going to be helpful to a crap ton of people.
Yeah, and I mean, there may be companies who just use LinkedIn Easy Apply and use that as their their search.
I've doubted some of what I've noticed. Just as I have noticed that the larger companies, you know, Microsoft being one of them, is like, okay, no, this is and this is what I usually recommend people to do. It's like, yo, you know, use LinkedIn Easy Apply for just a bunch of the companies where you're just trying to get a job. You know, you don't really care that much about the company. Hate to say it that way, but sometimes people just need a job. You know, and it's like, but for the companies that you really want to work at, or a company where it's like, yo, this is really prestigious, great company. It's like, no, like, you know, put some respect on that name. Like, actually apply. Go through all the steps, all those different things.
And I get the idea that, like, when you go through the applicant tracking system of Microsoft, and you get to a point where you upload your resume, but then they still tell you to put in all your jobs manually. I get how frustrating that is. But for a company like a big tech company, not specific to Microsoft, but a big tech company in general, if that's what they're asking you, it's probably because there is something underlying that the system may not catch.
I was gonna ask you, why is that?
That they may want to make sure that the system catches every single thing.
So it's almost
about
like
your
a double
experience.
down.
Absolutely.
Like, okay.
And then we also want to make sure that, like, Microsoft gives you the option that if instead of putting a Word document or a PDF as a resume, you can choose your LinkedIn and use your LinkedIn as your resume. I personally don't recommend that because hiring managers are going to ask for your resume anyway. But that is an option. But that is an option.
I'm supposed to not be laughing on camera, or not on camera. My laugh is too loud. So Eric, he
likes his laugh.
Eric, the videographer, he told me, he's like, yo, when you laugh, turn your head sideways. I literally just laugh like dead in the mic. So let me turn my head sideways real quick.
So I understand how much of a pain that is, because I had to do it too. But when I'm looking on the back end, when I'm looking at the system, I understand why that is. Because if the system doesn't catch your resume, or if your resume is formatted weird, where it's formatted to you but not to us, all we have to do is look at what you put in manually, and we can still see what you have. So we just want to make sure that we're catching everything. Although that is a pain, I get it. But we still want to make sure we're catching everything so that we give you a fair opportunity.
That makes, you know, I've seen so many people, like, I mean, you've seen it too. I've seen for years people complain about that. And it's so funny, like, a simple answer is like, oh.
No, seriously, okay. I've seen resumes that will be like words here, and you can't read it. But then I'll look at what they actually manually put in, and I'm like, oh, they do have the experience. They do meet my minimum qualifications.
They do know how to format words together properly.
So it's beneficial. Although it's frustrating and it's a pain in the process, it is beneficial.
Yeah, that's really good. So you're a recruiter, and I'm sure people reach out to you for a variety of different jobs. But you're not a recruiter for everything at Microsoft. So can you, like, speak to that? Like, I guess, are recruiters segmented off to certain?
So recruiters work in teams. And by that, what I mean is my specific team is Microsoft security. So I am specific to product managers. We recently changed it, but it's product management, program management, project management. Okay. But the official title for Microsoft is product management. Okay. And then I recruit for software engineers and cybersecurity. So cyber threat hunters, cyber intelligence analysts, and all of that. So okay. I am literally just in security, where people will ask me about an array of positions that I'm not privy to, because I'm not either on that team or in that business. Yeah. So I would suggest that people read the recruiter's LinkedIn profile, so that because it'll tell you if you look at their, like, the experience part, it'll tell you where they are in Microsoft for you to understand what they possibly recruit for.
I bet sometimes y'all probably feel like $5 hookers, where it's like you just idea. It's like you ain't even trying to get to know me. You ain't even looking at my stuff.
I put Chenae, and then in parentheses I put industry software engineers, program managers, close the parentheses, Erkerd. Like, I literally put it as my middle name.
You literally giving them the keys. Like,
I put it in my banner. I put it in my header, and people still ask. And I mean, I get the I'm starting to understand a little bit more when my patience is not as thin as it used to be when it comes to that question, because people are scrambling at this point. The market is crazy at this point. So they just feel like, oh, she responded, let me ask her. I didn't think she was going to respond. Let me ask her. So I get it. But I do think, like, for recruiters who like me who are very busy, do your research, because it does help us to answer your questions so you don't get ghosted.
So you don't get ghosted. Man, I don't think I have the patience to like it really is a gift. I'll say it this way.
I got like 50 messages waiting for me right now.
It's definitely a gift. Oh, it's probably gonna be 80.
I'm sure. I'll get back to y'all right on Tuesday when I get to work.
They gonna see this and be like, oh, so you got time to go on a little podcast show, but you can't answer my message.
But I sent you a DM. Like, people, I will post something and people will comment and say, Chenae, I messaged you. And I'm like, now that I've seen this comment, they know I saw it because I liked it. Now I got to go find their message.
So what is it like for you? Because on Instagram, so I treat my Instagram and my LinkedIn differently, where weirdly enough, my Instagram is a place where I'm trying to help people. Blah, blah. My LinkedIn is like, yo, I'm here for work. I'm just here. I'm interacting. I'm networking. When people message me on LinkedIn about like trying to get into tech stuff, I'm like, bruh. You better hit me up on LinkedIn. Hit me up on Instagram. And I'm like, I bet for you it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Do people hit you up on Instagram?
They hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, and I always tell them, please hit me up on LinkedIn. Part of that is because I do like to keep my Instagram and my Facebook separate, because I'm more personalized on my Facebook and my Instagram than I am on my LinkedIn. But I also like to keep work in one space. That for me, it's just easier, and I want to make sure I'm giving people an equal amount of time to be answered. But if I know you, of course I'm gonna respond on any platform. But I mean, for me, it's just easier to keep everything on LinkedIn.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. So just real quick. So again, we're gonna get to some of the questions that people have. So like in terms of being a recruiter at Microsoft or just in tech companies in general, like what all do you have to know about the company's tech, like their tech stack or their technology?
So I'll be honest, I didn't know much. I did my research.
And for clarity, most of my friends that are recruiters, they don't know much. They know their job, which is your job. That's what you're supposed to know.
I did my research on Microsoft, of course. I made sure I knew the core values and what AI actually meant. It's funny because when the recruiter sent me a message, I called it AL. And I didn't realize that I did. I didn't realize I did until after I was like, Chenae, that's not an L, it's an I. And so I did, and I was like, oh crap, I'm not gonna get this job now.
Hey, you got
and
the job?
I meant AI, but I said L, and I was like, oh God. So
maybe they thought you had an accent. They were like, AL.
Hopefully.
Thanks,
Jared. I appreciate
you. Now you good. You straight.
But so I did my research. I made sure I understood what AI meant. I made sure I was prepared. Like if they asked me some drastic, what would you do to change Microsoft type question? Like I had I had thought about something like a technology thing a product that I would develop and establish and implement. And like I tried to actually do some groundwork a little bit. I didn't understand like tech until I actually started to recruit for software engineers. So when I started and I announced that I was a technical recruiter from Microsoft coming from healthcare recruiting, somebody asked me, well, what programming languages are you recruiting for? And I was like, huh? Like programming, what does that mean? And so I was like, so here's the thing. I haven't started yet, but when I do, I will tell you the programming languages that I'm starting for, that I'm recruiting for. So now I can literally go, what programming languages are you experienced with? Is it C#, C++, C++, Python, Splunk, Spark? I can literally actually quote them now.
Yeah.
Do I know what they do? No. Am I still learning what they do? Yes. Now my hiring managers they give me layman's terms so I understand the kind of candidates that they're looking for. So I know what the day-to-day is and all of that. So I ask what the day-to-day is so I can understand what the job actually entails and the intricacies of the job. So it has become a little easier as time goes, but programming is a beast in and of itself. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'll figure it out as I go.
Yeah, exactly. I love it how I forget where I read recently, but that how 44% of jobs in the tech space are non-technical roles. And so, and it's so interesting. And I'm learning this more and more, like how recruiting is a sub industry in and of itself. And it's like, it's really crazy. And so like before, I've always just kind of saw it as like something to the side. But more and more, my respect for recruiters have gone up to where I'm like, no, like I really do see like tech recruiters as a legit like sub industry. The same way I see sales engineering as a sub industry. So I think that's cool, like for us to have these industries in this space where just as a sales engineer, I don't necessarily have to be technical depending on the company I'm at.
Right.
And the same thing like with yourself as a recruiter. Yo, what's good, family? If you're tuning into this and you're wondering, yo, how do I get a job like that in tech? We've got good news for you because we've just partnered with a tech boot camp called General Assembly that'll help you get a job like this or a variety of others, no matter where you live at in the world. We're talking product management, UX UI design, programming or development, data science, data analytics, and a variety of others. Use the link in our description, and not only will you be able to do your first class for free, but for those who decide to sign up with the program, you'll get a $200 discount off. Make sure that you let us know which course you chose and keep us posted on your journey in tech. All right, cool. So now we're going to go ahead and jump into our next segment, which is Techie or Tacky. Techie or Tacky is where we discuss recent technology and determine if it's something we actually want, aka techie, or if it's something that we don't think anyone really has a need for. In other words, tacky. So the first one that we're going to be discussing is a robot that is made out of magnetic slime that can grab objects inside of your body. So I'll go ahead and I'll read through this. This is from the newscientist.com. They say that slime that could be controlled by a magnetic field can navigate tight spaces and grasp objects, making it ideal for possible uses inside of the body. So it's I don't know if you can see that. I just kind of show it to you for a second. It's like, we're not gonna play the video, but it's like literally like a little goo that goes around, and it's able to grab things and put stuff together as they manipulate it. So looking at that, just glancing at that, hearing about that, is that something you're like, oh, that's actually really cool? Like that's techie.
It's not cool. No, because I'm thinking about like the I saw a movie where it was like some slime, and I think it was Moonfall.
Like old school? Oh,
no,
Moonfall.
I think it was Moonfall. It wasn't slime, but it was like an energy or like a magnetic thing where it looked like slime because it was like doing this through in space, and no, that freaked me out. So,
are you talking about that movie? Yeah, they were in space.
Yeah,
they were like Ryan Reynolds or something, and it was like some. It was small at first.
It was oh man, it was Halle Berry.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It just came out.
Oh dang, I have not
seen
it.
And in the energy, it was like a magnetic energy, and it could go inside the moon, but it could go in the moon. It can go inside the moon, and it was like, but it turned like bad. So stuff like that make me think like, oh, y'all developed it, and then it has a brain of its own, and then it's gonna take over my body.
I thought you were talking. This ain't like a movie. A movie is turned to a movie segment, but there was like a movie that came out with Ryan Reynolds and a bunch of other people where they found some alien substance. It was really small and it was a goo and it was innocent and it was really innocent and nice. But then they were messing with it. They ended up poking it and hurting it. And once they hurt it, it saw all of them as enemies. So then it like attacked, and this little goo got larger and larger, and they were in space, and it was crazy. It was crazy, horrible. But anyway, so to that point, so you say that's tacky because of the movie, or that's tacky because you're just like, nah.
I don't trust that actually helping because I feel like it's gonna like take over my body.
Yeah, I guess once it's in there, or the person who's manipulating it can do something weird, right? Or if someone hacks
that's a no.
It's
a no. You know, like I work in tech.
Okay,
and the company I work for has a hackathon.
Yeah.
So no.
Those are fast. Yeah, I agree. I like the idea, but actually seeing the goo and all,
and I'm actually like maneuver, like the idea sounds cool.
Yeah, it sounds
cool.
But
no.
Yeah. So all right, so cool. So we mutually deem this tacky. Want to know what y'all think? Let us know in the comments. Do you think this is tacky? Is it cool? Yo, maybe you might disagree. There's something in perspective we're not thinking of. Let us know. But we both deem this tacky.
Yep. I'm gonna let the Lord heal me.
That is true. It's just my time to go. It's just my time. All right. So next one is glasses that help you see and hear. simultaneously. So, all right, so Oculus AS have collaborated with renowned eyeglass designers to create these hearing glasses. All right, so many people are ashamed to wear hearing aid, but aren't as opposed to wearing glasses. Together with a team of researchers, an entrepreneur has created a completely new product for those who struggle with both vision and hearing. All right, so what do you think about glasses for people who can't hear, where they can wear the glasses, they help them see? And so my vision is not the best. That's why we were supposed to have like a monitor or something on the screen that we could look up at, but it was just like, I'm not gonna be able to see anything up there. Clearly we need to get glasses or something, but yeah, I guess what do you think it is? Do you consider this techie or tacky?
I think that's techie.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. So my husband, I love this because my husband and I have an Oculus at home that we play quite a bit, and to experience an Oculus and kind of see what that can do. I think that's cool. I think everybody should have
I've never had the chance to play one of those.
Oh, you got to.
Do you have like any horror games with it?
Yeah.
Oh.
He has Resident Evil. He had like if you're in the space and you can see the demons.
Crazy.
And the what they call
Why you grab the zombies?
Yeah.
the girl.
Terrence, when you see this, don't laugh.
He gonna be looking like,
don't
laugh.
laugh.
Taught you better than that.
Like, you should know what it's called. It's a zombie, babe. So yeah, I love that idea because I can understand. So at Microsoft, we talk a lot about disability, and we talk a lot about people being inclusive of everybody. Yeah. And so I can understand how people can feel like they're looking at their hearing aid, or they're looking at like the fact that they're not talking to me, but they're looking at that I'm in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
They're looking at I have a broken leg. They're not talking to me.
That's very true.
So I can get with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very true. It's so interesting. I love that you said that because in my mind, I guess this is how it oftentimes is when we don't have a disability or some type of setback, we think like, oh, that's not that serious.
Right.
Like, not that we don't think that, okay, having the disability isn't serious.
We're not them.
But that it's
so
like,
we won't
it's
understand.
like, oh, having something in your ear, that doesn't look that off-putting. But of course, it's like, well, it's easy for me to say that because I don't have something in my ear. If I had something in my ear, I'm probably thinking the whole time, are they looking at the thing that's in my ear?
So they're probably like talking to you like this, or like leaning so that you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, so I agree as well. I think it's techie. Also, I think it's super dope just what it can do for people. For the same, I didn't even really, again, in my mind, I don't think, from my vantage point, I don't think that's anything. I see someone with something in the ear, I'm just like, oh, cool, you got a hearing aid. Okay, great. Let me make sure that I'm being mindful of that. Yeah. Never, I guess everyone doesn't think like me, though. Some people might look at the person as lesser than or whatever. But I love the concept. I love the idea where it's like, too. It can minimize, especially if you're visually impaired and hearing impaired. It's like, just one product. So that way, instead of having to keep up with both your hearing aids and your glasses, this one thing. I'm really big. My cards are in my case. One of the reasons I wanted to push start so I wouldn't have to pull the keys out. I'm like, I ain't trying to do none of that. So.
Yeah, Microsoft actually has a product that if you can't type, then you can actually like type from your mouth. Or if you're visually impaired, just even slightly, we have a spot where on like Microsoft Word, if we click it, it'll read it to you, or it'll give you an idea. Wow. The program will give you an idea that this person is impaired of some way. So let's make sure that the person that you're receiving it to, make sure you're thinking about them.
Now that's techie. That's super fire. That's freaking incredible. I was tempted to look up some different things that Microsoft was doing and talk through that, but I thought that would have been pun intended, that would have been tacky. To be like, oh, let me look at things that Microsoft's doing this, and also I'm like, it's like that's your company, I want to be like mindful to not talk about things, pros or cons we see with a company. Yeah. It's like, that's the company you're at, so I try to be mindful. Interestingly enough, actually, one of my homeboys, he was supposed to be a guest. But he works at Microsoft. He's a senior developer, and he he actually couldn't come on because he works with Microsoft. He works at 3 companies at the same time. And one of the companies, he's the CTO there, and they're waiting for a round of investors and stuff. So it's kind of like our investors can't see that your time is split with these other companies and things like that. And they were also very worried about what we could talk about on here and how
and
that
it
could
pose
affect
a
them.
conflict of interest too.
Yeah, it really could.
That's why certain things I say I don't go too much into detail.
Yeah.
Like I can say compliance, or I can say like the device that we have that where people can't type, that's actually one of the tools that they have that's in the visitor center at headquarters, so you can see that we have it.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that what I say is public knowledge.
So you ain't giving too much sauce.
Nah.
Like, I can't give y'all all the sauce.
Nah.
Like I love it. He was.
I love my job.
So one thing I do want to ask, I want to see if he was capping or not. He told me that they let if someone wants like the latest Xbox, they're able to get it. That they're able to. He's like I'm not like no. That
I don't know.
Yeah, because I was like no, that has to be for just certain seniors. He said no, it's for anybody in the company. He's like no, if you just
that I don't know. No, we have access to Xboxes, of course, but I don't know I gotta check that. I don't know.
I think he said it's some program, like whenever Microsoft comes out with something, anybody in the company, if you want to be like, I want to go ahead and be the person to test. He's like, people, they just give it up.
Well, we do have a lot of perks. Like we do have we do have a lot of our businesses actually take really good care of us. They send us T-shirts and all the swag that you see me post that they send us. Like we thoroughly enjoy it. So I mean, he may not be wrong.
Yeah. It might be somewhere in the middle. Maybe
he may not be wrong.
And I do love the new location they built. I like the design.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It looks very industrial and like very modern at the same time. It's like a very like cool.
It's a very welcoming building.
Yeah. I love it a lot. Do they let people like can somebody sign up and be like, hey, I just want to do a tour or something?
I don't.
Do you know?
I don't think so, because you have to. You know how with certain hotels you have to have a key to go upstairs. Yeah. It's the same thing with Microsoft. You have to have a key to go past the first floor.
Okay, cool.
Or really past the second floor. So you have to. Yeah, I would think that they may give people a tour, but I think you have to sign up. But that I'm not sure of, because. All right, cool. Eric's
a pretty good pickpocket. I'm before you leave out, I'm gonna have you pick your pockets so we can get that key so we can do a little tour of Microsoft. No, just play. All right, super cool. All right, so. Last one, for techie or tacky, we have a huge satellite that's meant to connect directly to cell phones to launch on SpaceX soon. So, essentially what this is, SpaceX Mobile will send its Blue Walker 3 test satellite to space on a mission. Blah, 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 a whole bunch of explanation. But ultimately, it's going to offer satellite service where people can be able to have access to cellular service no matter where they're at in the world. So whether it's a spotty location or even people who are in countries that typically don't have access to cellular service. Now, of course, certain companies have a problem with this, especially like certain people who are in the astronomy field, where because some of the SpaceX satellites are ridiculously large. Like one of them is about 255 square feet, like in size. So they're like, yo, this is gonna block us from seeing other planets and being able to kind of like look out further to things that are happening and coming up. But I want to know, do you think that's techie where it's like, yo, that's actually fire? Or is that like, we good, like we got cellular service, we don't want to like interfere with like being able to see further out in terms of space, if it can even cause some type of inconvenience?
I get both sides.
Yeah.
I get, because you don't want to mess with the astronomers' work, because that's their life work. So you want to respect that. But then you also want to make sure you're safe too. And so if I'm in dire need of something and I need cellular service and I need to call my husband because he that dude. Yeah. Then I need to make sure I can get in touch with the people I need to get in touch with, no matter where I am in the world. So I can see both sides actually. Yeah. So I don't really have a side.
Yeah, I agree as well. I'm thankful that you spoke to a side of compassion for the astronomers, and I also think too, like what this could do for people in, I don't want to just kind of jump and say third world countries, but people that are in places where maybe they usually don't have
Correct.
cellular service. Even I was thinking through how, the war that's been taking place in Ukraine, and how one of the things that Russia did early on was knock out their cellular service, and Elon Musk, using like their thing, they actually tested it out with the Ukrainians to where they put their satellite up and are now have been giving them cellular service. And I was like, yo, that is so fire. What we could do with technology to where it's like now we can overcome things like that and be like, no, we're still going to make sure that these people have access to these things, even if you knock out their cell phone
Absolutely.
towers.
I mean, that's all about dominance, though. Like, it's like, why wouldn't you want people to have access to everything, no matter where they are? But then on the astronomer side, but that's my job, and I want to make sure that my job isn't interfered, and what I love to do isn't interfered with whatever. So
that's still protection, because like if something could be coming at our planet or something, we need to be aware of. Those things matter.
Absolutely. So I can understand both sides.
Hey, I love it. Yeah. So, but of course, want to know what y'all think. Do y'all think this is techie or tacky? Do y'all think this is cool? Do you fall somewhere in the middle like us, or do you feel like you kind of lean more to the left or more to the right kind of on this subject? Please let us know. We want to know.
Definitely.
All right, bet it up. So now we definitely have to get to the questions that people have asked you. People are gonna be upset. Some people, my question wasn't on there. It's like, yo, I'm gonna take a certain amount of questions.
We sorry, y'all, in advance.
Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. So first question that we have on here is, how important is tailoring a resume to the job you are looking for?
Very important.
Ooh.
So I always advise people to have multiple resumes. You need to have a customer service resume, and then you need to have a specific resume or a career oriented path type resume.
Okay.
I always had two, just because depending on the job that I was applying to, because if you take one resume and what we call in law school rule dump, which means you dump every single thing every job you've ever had. A lot of those jobs may not make sense with the job that you're actually trying to apply into. So you want to make sure that, and that makes your resume a lot harder to read for the recruiter. So you want to make sure that you make it as easy for the recruiter and the hiring manager as possible. So if it's a job specific to software engineers, for example, you want to make sure that every single software engineer position that you had that is asking for the programming language that you have experience with on the job description, that you have that. But we don't need the customer service positions if the job description or the minimum qualifications aren't asking for customer service type of roles.
Yeah.
So I would definitely make sure that you tailor it to what the job description is asking for, but make sure that you actually have that experience. You're not making it up.
So I guess something I want to ask. So someone booked a one-on-one with me recently, and they wanted to go through lots about, they're trying to work to get into tech, and they wanted me to go over their resume with them. And I was like, yo, I'm not super good when it comes to resumes. I said, but yo, you pay for the time, we can include that, we can go over it. So we were going through it, and one of the things I was telling them, they had a bunch of random clutter on there.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, you need to take none of this is relatable. You need to remove all this mess. And in their mind, and I know a lot of people think like this, is like, yo, I just don't want the I want it to be beefed up with stuff. I want it to look gaps. Beefy. Yeah. So what are best practices in your opinion, like when it comes to that?
Yeah. So mine was the same way. I had a whole bunch of stuff on my resume, and my mentor was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. So she literally so we gonna start over. So she took every single piece of experience that I had, and she pretty much put it where it was supposed to go. So, and so because I was trying to go into recruiting or HR, she's had me on my professional summary at the top, or my career objective at the time. She had me say what I wanted to do, the fact that I had legal experience, and then say what I use my soft and hard skills to currently do to then go into recruiting. And then what she had me do was, at the time, she had me write a cover letter, and at the last two sentences of the first paragraph, she had me say, I understand that I have a legal degree or a law degree, but I decided not to go into practicing law because I instead decided to turn and pivot into HR, and here's why, and use my law degree in that way.
Yeah, that's fine.
And so what we did from that part of the cover letter, we then built my resume to, okay, so we're going to start with, at the time I was a temp recruiter for her. So she was my actual boss. So she helped me build like my resume so I can get a full-time job. That's so we went from that to the position that I had before, the temp position I had before, which had nothing to do with recruiting, to then all of the jobs that I had before then, which again had nothing to do with recruiting. But then she put my legal experience under a category called legal experience. Okay. Then she had me put she was like, Chenae, you're a business owner, you're a spoken word artist, a motivational speaker, you've planned events. Oh, I know, so call me. So she was like, so now I need you to put your community service here, because with recruiting you're going to have to plan stuff. So she had me strategically put certain categories together so that it can so the recruiter could understand what I was able to do and be more versatile in the recruiting role. Yeah, so I could plan events. I had legal experience. I had internships. I'm a people person, so I did spoken word. I've written books. Yeah. I'm no law degree or whatever. And then I was also a secretary in a law school, so I had to greet people. So there comes the customer service. Man, yeah. So she literally strategically put certain jobs in certain places so that I could then go into recruiting. And then once I went into recruiting, the jobs that didn't make sense anymore came off. So I mean, that's pretty much how you would do it.
Yeah, and that's good. I want to touch on that more, but we got to get to the other. So we're gonna do one more question that we have on here. All right, so LinkedIn tips to increase chances of getting noticed by recruiters. LinkedIn tips to increase chances of getting noticed.
Okay, so go to your profile, and every part of your profile should look like your resume, which means that your about should say with something about you, but also show your personality. LinkedIn gives you the space to share your personality and your character where your resume doesn't, and neither does your cover letter. So go to your about, give me some, hi, this is who I am and what I'm trying to go into, and add some of your professional summary in there. Then you go to your experience and you literally copy and paste your experience from your resume onto your LinkedIn, which is exactly what I did. You then go into your skills section, copy your skills section from your resume onto your LinkedIn, but use every single part of LinkedIn that LinkedIn gives you. Yeah. Ask people for recommendations so that the recommendations can show up on your profile. Ask people for to start start recommending you for other things. Or I mean, there are just certain sections like certifications that they allow you to put on there. I would say use every single category to the best of your ability to fill your profile to make it look complete. So essentially, go to my LinkedIn and copy what I did. Yeah. Seriously, because if you copy what I did, people still reach out to me all the time for jobs. And all I did was copy and paste my resume onto my LinkedIn. There's a spot on top of my LinkedIn too, that my featured posts, where I literally break down how you should talk about each category on your LinkedIn profile. I actually broke it down per category.
Yeah. I did a webinar recently, and in the webinar, I was showing people, part of it, we were showing LinkedIn, and I used people's LinkedIns as examples. And I told people, I said, yo, steal stuff. I said, people are like, oh, I want to be original. Like, bro, you better stop.
Y'all reinventing the wheel.
What are you doing? Literally copy someone's thing.
Honestly, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Reinventing the wheel is old.
Yeah.
Being the person who did it is old now. That great to you, but you did more work than what you had to do, to be honest.
Yeah.
With certain companies, and this is for real, with certain companies, if you feel like you need to invent something or come up with it instead of using what has already been developed but making it better, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
So definitely use the work that's already been given, but just make it your own, and then give the credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I love that.
Make it easy. We're working smart, not hard.
Let's go. I love that. Man, so final words, Chenae. Because there's a lot that we weren't able to cover, a lot of things, maybe some things even on your heart. So I want to kind of give you the floor to share, just something, a message you want to have conveyed to people, something you want them to understand.
Yeah. So there was a lot of points of my career where I didn't know my worth, a lot. I didn't know how to negotiate for a long time. I didn't know what I should say in a salary expectation. All I knew was I wanted to make a lot of money without purpose. So I wanted to make money and take care of my family, retire my mom, but I didn't have a purpose under it. And so I always want people to start with their purpose so they know why they want to make a whole bunch of money, or why they want to make impact, or why they want to influence or encourage the masses. I would definitely know your worth. Like I said at the very beginning, know your worth. Add taxes for shipping and handling, and make sure you understand that every single room you walk into, you should command at all times. If people are intimidated by that, that is their problem that they have to nurse, and you shouldn't have to. So the idea that we're supposed to shrink to make other people feel comfortable is old. So make sure when you walk into every single room, you command the attention that you deserve. And you actually own it, you coach it, you motivate it, you move forward with it, and you inspire everybody you're supposed to.
Love it so much.
And don't apologize for it.
No, we love it. Chenae, where can people find you and connect with you at? This is for those that are listening and not watching.
So you can go to my Instagram at I am CLE the artist. CLE is actually my stage name for spoken word. So I am CLE the artist, and then LinkedIn is my actual name, Chenae. People butcher it. It's completely fine. I'll spell it for you. Chenae, and my last name is Erkerd, Erkerd. You can go on LinkedIn. I think I'm like the only person in the world that has that spelling, both first and last name. So it's easy to find me. I'm the recruiter cousin on LinkedIn. So please go and reach out to me, connect with me, and follow me. I like to inspire people to be their best selves at all times.
Thank you so much. It's so great having you
on. Of course. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
So that being said, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Tech is Due Black. Y'all know, as always, do all the stuff. Hit the like button, share it, save it, let your friends, let your folks know about it. Because, y'all know how crazy the algorithm is out here. Yeah. So if you want to see other people help the same way, hopefully this interview with Chenae has helped you, make sure you're doing all that good stuff so that way other people can be impacted as well. And we will see y'all on the next episode.